Never heard of a killer. I drop bombs like Hiroshima.
Somebody said, look at LeakYou video. What the fuck is LeakYou? Is it like a site? What's LeakYou? LeakYou. Is it a YouTube channel? Oh, shit. Oh, all right, bet. Here we go.
Please hit the like. Thank you.
One, two, three, four.
Hey, John, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing. Hey,
Say that one more time. I think there's a little audio issue. It's okay. Take your time. I can't hear you. It sounds like a bunch of static. Take your time. No rush. There we go. I don't hear the static anymore. I haven't opened it up yet, so.
hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. How are you?
Exhausted.
Let me turn my camera on as well. It is a pleasure to have you back on the show, John.
It is. I mean, yes, it is. Hold on. Let me try this. Is this? Oh my God!
Take
My
your
agent
time.
told me about this. Yeah, I understand. I can't find my tripod. There we go. I just went bang. How's that? That a little bit better?
Yeah, much better. Much better.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
I can hear
Great.
you fine.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, you've had a heck of a week, haven't you?
Boy, it's and I have to not scream. It's I have to be a totally different Jon Stewart tonight, starting from here on out, calm, collected. Yeah, it's a relief that it's finally out. Um, I'm sure we'll talk about this, about my feelings about the whole thing, the reception of it. So I'm just relieved that it's all done. I don't say it's all behind me because I still have to do contractually publicity. Uh, 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 I don't want to say tour because that's so like Hollywood, but I have to do some publicity stuff and podcast and write a book about it and stuff like that. It's no problem. But yeah, the main part, today I canceled $240 worth of subscriptions that I had for 5 or 6 years. to be an investigator, like, Ancestry.com,
Right.
record a call. It was my wife and I counted. It was $240 that I was paying about every month for just subscriptions to be a, alien wackadoo investigator. So that was nice to finally get rid of. And so I'm sure we'll talk about it, but I'm glad to
Oh,
be over.
yes.
I'm finally taking a deep breath after 6 years, so I'm happy.
You have worked so hard. Watched our first interview, over the last couple of days. I've been just kind of prepping up and
Yeah,
watched our first interview that we did. And you have came such a long way from where you were a few years back when we did our initial interview. Of course, just kind of an introduction to everyone who may be, coming in or whatnot. I want to put this up. We are speaking to Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart is a former pro wrestler and candidate for Illinois governor. He has been on a 15-year journey of discovering the truth about the 1997 Victor whistleblower film, of the Area 51 alien interview. And you have put an amazing amount of just everything, energy, time, money. I'm sure your wife is probably glad, to finally get you back a little bit, from all of the investigation. You went to Congress. You showed Congress, still shots and video of this interview. And frankly, John, I'm going to be honest with you. I wanted to see you at that congressional hearing, especially this last one, this most recent one. I would have loved to have seen you there testifying in front of Congress, to be honest with you. And I still hope to see that one day. But you have worked very hard, and it's just really an honor to have you here. I've been so excited for this interview for days now and weeks now, actually, because we kind of talked about this a few weeks ago.
yeah,
But I watched your PPV special like 5 times already. So, great work.
thank you.
Tremendous work. And you answered so many questions that I had, like, for one, who is Victor? And the other question I had was Colin Powell in that room during that alien interview? So tell us about, leading up to this pay-per-view special. Kind of start us off on how you got to this point.
Uh, you know, did you you know what? I mean, first of all, I just want to say there's been a lot of years of investigation rolling around different years and whatnot, and I want to clear that up first of all. Nobody's actually said anything to me, but I personally want to clear it up. I say 6 years. I've been investigating 20 years, 15. The bottom line is that I have been interested as an investigator in this since '99. My first investigatory question foray into this video was 1999 and asking a congressional candidate who was with the Navy, what's the DNI? So 1999 minus 2024, whatever that is, whatever it is, the pedal to the metal, as I call it, investigation started in January of 2019. But I went to another podcast, Carrie Cassidy Project Camelot, in 16, and just mentioned the film for like 5 minutes. So I'm sorry if there's been disparities of 25 years, 30 years, or whatnot. And that I know the UFO community is anal retentive and they need
Yes.
specifics. And so there's been how long I've been investigating this, how long the video has been out since '97, but it really was acquired in '96, but it was really filmed in '91. So I just wanted to get that across because you said 15 years of it, but it's all over the board anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just hey, look, I just wanted how I got to doing a pay per view. I like a calm, rational human being, knowing what a investigative reporter should do. I did my job. I had a ton of evidence to the point where I told two New York Times stringers at the time. That means people that can give stories to the New York Times, Ralph Blumenthal and Leslie Keene. I went over my whole story. We had a 5-hour meeting in Midtown Manhattan. They both said, look, you have a compelling case here, but we need somebody from the military to say this program is real. What they should have told me was, we need somebody to say this alien interview film is real, and David Grush wasn't enough to move that story to the New York Times. My point is, if I would have had this story done in the New York Times in 2022, the summer of 2022, you would have never heard of Jon Stewart. I never would have. I never would have continued this journey, but I was ignored by 37 major media outlets and 102 online and print media outlets or reporters. That's 139 people said, you ran for governor. Ralph and Leslie of the New York Times thinks it's a compelling story. You've got tetrabytes of information. I'm just being metaphoric.
Right.
Nah. Like the Green Bay Gazette, when I handed them personally my investigation, and when I took it to Mike Gallagher on Martin Luther King's Day, the next story, the lead story the next day was Girl Scout cookies are now on sale. And I tell people, don't get mad at me. Don't nitpick get pissed off at the media. Frankenstein villagers, torches and pitchforks, so to speak. If anybody in the next because I'm going to be here for 52 weeks to answer questions about that documentary. No one in documentary history has ever made that pledge to the people that I will be here for 52 weeks for follow-up emails, whatever questions anyone wants. My point is, by the time that's over, if there isn't a revolt against the media, then it's over. I'm telling every UFO researcher, interested party, podcaster, you do not have the media. You might as well go dig a hole and look for China. Go to China, because that's how futile this will be. If you don't have the media, if the United States government democracy does not have the U.S. free speech, the press, reporting on solid stories with good evidence, we're fucked. We're screwed. It's over.
Yeah.
And you're never going to have disclosure if the congressmen and the generals and the majors and the subcontractors and the private contractors don't feel the heat on their heels.
Right.
Now, I've been in politics for 30 years. Who else will tell you this? I mean, I'm not saying that. I have more credibility than anyone. I'm not in office, but I've been in politics for 30 years. You don't have the media. If the UFO community fighting with each other, picking apart everyone's stories, hollering at this person, trash talking this person, this podcaster claiming another podcaster is a pedophile. I mean, what
I know,
people,
right?
What are you people doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And if you're there to make money, God bless you. But you're not helping the cause if you think you are by busting, the alleged grifters like David Wilcox and Corey Good, and who need to be run out of the community. I have no doubt. I'm just saying, like, there has got to be a focused energy of everyone in the community on demanding the media to start doing their freaking job. Now, there's been a great thing, and I'm sorry to keep going on, but this is important.
No, please.
There's been a great toppling, which is happening with MSNBC. I mean, it's over for them. It seems like it's over for the left woke media. This is good for the UFO community, because I am here to tell you, the people in the media that laugh the loudest at you, yeah, I know you think you're cool and you're a podcaster. The people that laughed the loudest at you and me was the left wing media. Yeah. So MSNBC has been decoupled from MSNBC. There's no more money coming in. That's going to topple. Trump is going to be sworn in, whether you like him or not. You should see a pressure on the media, or at least a opening up of out of the box thinking of the media that should be conducive towards ufology. But if a serious UFO researcher or a serious journalist, and I'll end with this, a serious journalist that's kind of being forced into the UFO community sees the vitriol and the schoolyard antics that are going on social media, you're done. We're done. I'm done personally. I'm going to go on podcast, but the fighting of Jon Stewart fighting and defending him, it's over. But
Yeah,
if you
I
see
don't blame you.
if you have a credible media source that comes on social media and sees the backyard, the schoolyard bullshit, that the mudslinging, we're back to the Stone Age. So
Oh,
let's
I've
tone
already
it
had
down.
someone. Yeah, I agree. I've already had someone, and I know that you know who this person is who will remain unnamed, who it seems like every time they know that I'm going to interview you, or I have a conversation with you on Twitter, they want to,
Oh yeah,
you
Andrew
know who it
Burlington.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And it's
narcissistic
like,
cheat. Yeah,
dude, please stop leaving me
it's
these
terrible.
comments. I don't care what you have to
Yeah, it's
say.
horrible.
I can
Horrible human
discern.
being.
Yeah. So,
And I
um,
credited him in the documentary. He had some
I
pictures that I used,
noticed.
and I gave him credit because I'm
I,
a freaking human being. He's a
yeah.
narcissist. Living alone in an apartment. He's having a narcissistic meltdown. I know. What do I know? I'm not. I don't. He's having a narcissistic meltdown because he is no longer the authority of the alien interview, and he knows that I found Victor. So we just can't feed him. The narcissist loves argument and texting back and forth, and that's their fuel. Arguing their
Yes,
fuel. So we just have to extinguish that and extinguish
that's
him
right.
by not talking with him anymore, not arguing, and just let him flame out.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about Victor,
Yeah,
right? So Victor is the man that did, and if you don't mind, I'd like to play a clip,
yeah.
this clip of this alien interview really quick,
Okay.
so that people can, get an idea of what we're talking about here. All right.
All right, we're looking at the interview suite at S4. It's kept dark for the comfort of the aliens. The figure who is just barely visible in the left foreground is the telepath, and behind the camera is a raked seating area for observers. Although in this case, I believe the only other person present was a military aide. The alien is seated behind a glass partition in a biocontainment area, which is maintained at biosafety level 2, the lowest designation. That's primarily for the protection of the aliens, not us. The theory is that if they were going to infect us with an alien bug, it would have happened 50 years ago. In fact, all the indications are the aliens eliminated microbial and viral life from their own ecosystem long ago. They aren't susceptible to our diseases directly, but it has been shown that microbes can reproduce and form colonies within their respiratory systems, which tends to exacerbate the debilities they seem to suffer anyway in our environment. In fact, you can see here the alien is beginning to flag. The interview was not going well. The telepath was trying to clarify some points from a previous interview, but he wasn't receiving coherent responses. As you can see, the being is in real distress. At this point, the telepath is sending out a message to the medical staff. He's trying to communicate with the alien, but he's getting no response. There's very little he can do. There's no direct connection between his space and the biocontainment area. That's the aide stepping in on the right. The medical staff should be there by now. They're slow in responding. There they are. I have to say the medical personnel at S4 are less than first rate. They tend to be selected for their willingness to keep secrets rather than their medical competence. By the way, he's not shining that light into the eyes. It looks that way, but in fact he's checking for hemorrhaging around the eye sockets and in the nasal cavity. I'm sorry. It's very hard for me to watch this.
So yeah, that is. I'm sorry. That is Victor that was talking in the background, and you have spent a lot of time trying to locate who is this Victor? Who is Victor? And so tell us, what have you found out?
Yeah, um, much to the surprise, and not so much to my shock anymore, Victor has been hiding basically in plain sight.
Mm,
Um, Victor is a former disgraced Air Force. I'm sorry, let me go back even further than that. Victor is literally a high school prodigy, graduated high school at 16, um, got into the Air Force Academy, was dismissed and thrown out with a swath of cadets. Like, if one goes, 50 of you go. In a cheating scandal, I don't believe that Victor was one of the people. I do believe that he was caught up in the if one goes, you all go. He
mm.
was an absolute expert in the old 1950s, early 60s IBM mainframe that took up uh, a
A
whole
whole
office,
room, a whole
a whole
warehouse.
office room, yeah, a whole warehouse. He was a self-taught scientist who specialized in propulsion that caught the eye of Dr. Teller. So says Victor.
Mm,
Dr. Teller is the man that Bob Lazar alleges that got Bob Lazar into S4 to work on
hmm.
propulsion. So Dr.
Right.
Teller, if you're going to believe Victor's story and Bob Lazar, Dr. Teller was willing to let in, people with sketchy educational backgrounds or savants, right? Or
Right.
people that
Right.
that were not formally taught, but that were highly intelligent into this
Hmm.
program because they were so desperate to uh, figure out something with the extraterrestrial reverse engineering the propulsion of the craft, which we still don't really know the truth. Is it gravitics? Is it 0 point energy? Is
Right.
it the ability to jump point to another in the cosmos, wormhole, you name it. So I find it interesting. He mentions Dr. Teller in a Bible when he came out as who he was, uh, and that Dr. Teller
You're kind of
goes to
breaking
Bob
up just a
Lazar,
bit,
and both
John.
of those go. Okay, can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
just
I'm
yeah, I can
sorry.
hear you now.
How's
Yeah,
that?
no worries, no worries.
Yeah, and Bob Lazar and Dr. Teller go straight to S4, so that tangential relationship is bizarre that he would bring that up. And he was an FBI informant. He was sent to
Oh,
Australia
wow.
by Dr. Teller, allegedly, to work on reverse engineering of propulsion at Pine Gap, where they had allegedly stored extraterrestrial craft. He comes back to the United States. He is in S4, not necessarily in the interview program, but he says he had a reason to be there at S4. And he's obviously involved in propulsion at a slightly more advanced level than Bob Lazar, because he mentions about food being brought down on one of the UFO aircraft elevators, like an aircraft elevator to the second
Right.
level. So that those kind of little tidbits strike me. And he, Victor, with a 1,000% photo match, hair,
Mm,
hands folded at the wrist, suit, fetal alcohol syndrome upper lip,
yep.
hooded nose is the ufologist from literally the first UFO whistleblower in the 70s, Stan Deyo. His real name is Eugene Stanley Deyo, but he goes by Stan Deyo. So that is Victor. Victor is an old ufologist, and his colleagues and cronies, as I like to call them, are the infamous Bill Moore, Stanton Friedman, Phil Klass, who had the Skeptics website, and I, and when you hear it, what's funny, because in 08 and 010 and 15 and 17, people like Dr. Sala on Exopolitics, Dr. Greer, all interviewed Stan. Stan's got a website,
Wow.
and that's what helped us catch him, so to speak. And I don't think he did anything wrong. I think Stan Deyo is a hero, should testify before Congress, but he's a hero that he was involved in this and risked, imprisonment by the government for leaking this video. Whether it was a real alien or not, that's still considered government property. That 16 millimeter film, what's on there was in a government facility. That is still top secret and property of the United States government. That's still a huge penalty and possible imprisonment for removing something like that.
And that's like the top secret of top secret. Like there's nothing higher than
There's not.
anything
It's called
regarding.
It's called majestic eyes only. And the
Yeah.
only other security classification that got that high, it wasn't named that, majestic eyes only. That was created after the Roswell crash. The only other project in the history of America that got that high of secrecy was the Manhattan Project, the invention of the
Right.
atomic bomb, which is very interesting to know that.
hmm
And but yet with the secrecy, it seems to me, after years of studying this, that Dr. Teller and the people in that program were so desperate that they hired Bob Lazar and Victor, who were not, in my opinion, collegiately trained physicists.
hmm
They hired bizarre people for their extraterrestrial telepath. Victor says it was a one step below 1-800 psychics. I have shown one of the men who was a Carthusian monk. Another
That was
leaker.
interesting.
Yeah, thank
That
you.
was
Thank you.
interesting. Yeah.
I mean, that's nowhere on the internet. I mean, whatever. Richard Nixon
When
said,
I
never
seen that
complain,
in the
never complain, never
documentary,
explain. Right. I just can't believe that
yeah.
it's not, that didn't cause like wildfire. Like, wow, we have alleged
Monk.
telepath with extraterrestrials, a monk, and here's his picture. Whatever. I mean, maybe it's for the best. I'll go on about that later.
Well, maybe they
About the
have a different
disappointing
way
internet.
of. Yeah,
Well,
maybe there's a
I'm
way
just talking
they.
about other UFO researchers and
Right.
podcasters and so yeah, and there was even a farmer they hired, a farmer who somehow he convinced these people in Project Aquarius that he could communicate with beings and whatnot. And when I hear information like that, Victor backing up Bob Lazar about Dr. Teller,
Right.
crazy stories that are so crazy they're believable about the government being so desperate they're thinking out of the box. Lazar, Victor, these Carthusian monks. That to me, that does become believable, because
Right.
a hoaxer would say, "Oh, for the telepath program, we got the greatest psionic people in the world, and people like Uri Geller." And no, they didn't.
Right.
And when
Right.
you start telling me monks, a farmer who failed, and I start going, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Right.
I've known desperate men in business trying to fix a problem. You'll go to Mars and hire, a purple alien if it's going to help you make money or fix
If
a
it'll
problem
fix
or
it.
solve a problem, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
Victor. Victor is the ufologist, Stan Deyo. He's 80 years old. He lives west in the Rocky Mountains, and I called him. I talked to him. He's a hostile
Did
witness.
you?
Oh yes,
Was
I
he?
called him.
Was
I
he
called him the day
hostile?
I found him. Well, not hostile, but he was. I called him up. And
Was he
I
like
say this.
not even interested in talking to you? Was
No,
he
no, no, no,
surprised that you even found him?
no. But I'll tell you what happened. And this was like calling up, this is like going to talk to Hannibal Lecter, in my opinion, and, being
Right.
Clarice Starling. Hello, Clarice, So I
It
call him
rubs the
up.
lotion on its skin.
Yeah, right. You think you're gonna dissect me with this blunt tool? No, no. I'm like, no. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm a Silence of the Lambs fan.
Yeah, no worries.
But so I call him and he answers the phone. Hello, Jon Stewart. And I'm like, and his wife is laughing in the background, not at me, just laughing. I'm like, how did
Yeah.
you know? How did you know it was me? And he's like, it's called caller ID. Very congenial and jovial. And I said to him, Mr. Deyo. He's like, yes. I'm like, I found you. He's like, I don't understand. I'm like, sir, I know you're Victor. He's like, now he doesn't know that his blackened face has been highlighted by somebody on Reddit. He still thinks, how does this guy know I'm Victor? He
Right.
doesn't know my face. So we're going back and forth. I said, Mr. Dale, can we dispense with the bullshit? I spent literally 27 years wondering who you are, in 5 years trying to find you. Can we please dispense? I have a photo ID match of you. He's like, well, send me what you got. Why would you want me to send you what you got? If you're not Victor, who cares what I send you? These are my police instincts kicking in. So I sent him the
Right.
photo of him and Stan Dale from 1985. I call him back. He answers the phone. Oh, I'm sorry, I did it. I emailed him while we were on the phone. And he goes and you could tell that he's like, oh, shit.
Right.
Somebody lightened my face. Literally, I could feel that through the phone. He's like, and I'm imitating him exactly. He's like, you know what? This guy's a quote is my doppelganger. I'm looking at myself right now. And he goes, golly, Golly, golly. His hairline on his forehead is identical to mine. I'm like, yeah, because it's you. No, young man. No. I can't say it's me. It's not me. I'm like, Mr. Dale, please.
Please
Whatever you
cut the
want to,
crap.
however you want to. I did. I'm like, however you want to handle this, I will. Please. I said, Mr. Dale, and I went over like 8 of the 20. We have 21 points of interest that a police detective would go through in a court of law or taking it to the district attorney. I went over 8 of them. I'm like, you talked about the end of the world coming from solar flares. There is about 9,000, and I said this being hyperbolic. There's like 9,000 articles about the sun destroying the earth on your website. I said, you mentioned money. You got paid. There's Patreon on your website. You like money. I said, you speak French. Your buddy Bill Moore, who I know you've known for 30 years, was fluent in French. You knew and worked with Victor Marchetti from the CIA in Australia. By your word, I think you took his first name because he was Victor. I said, you fold your hands at the wrist like Victor does. I said, you sigh a lot like you're exasperated. I said, Phil Klass in Skeptics newsletter had your bio. No one could figure out how Phil knew who you were, that you were Victor, until I saw you interview Phil Klass on one of your documentaries. That's how Phil Klass knew you were Victor. I said, do you want to continue to play this charade that you're not Victor? And he goes, I'm not going to say that. That's not me. And he's like, well, let's talk tomorrow. Now, wait a minute. This gets better. I said, okay. He goes, how about 11 o'clock? I'm like, 11 o'clock it is. Thank you, sir. Click. Now, Victor, when he talks to Art Bell in May to hype up the documentary for publicity, goes on for 3 minutes to argue with Art Bell that he got the wrong phone number. He said he's incensed that he got this. I'm sorry, yelling. He's incensed.
Oh, no, you're good.
He's incensed that he got this wrong phone number. And he is arguing, complaining for 3 minutes about a wrong phone number. I mean, you want to talk about like pedantic.
His personality is different.
Precision, time, measurements, specifics, doing what you said you're going to do, right? Cuckoo pie about like boom, boom, boom. 11:03, my phone rings. I see Victor on the caller ID. I'm like, hi, Mr. Deyo. I thought we were going to talk at 11 o'clock. I'm like, it's 11:03. Are you trying to tell me you're Victor? Because Victor talked about phone numbers and times, and he's like, no, I just, we say 11 o'clock. I expect 11 o'clock. I'm covering my cell phone going, is this guy trying to tell me he's Victor without trying to tell me he's Victor?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I
Yeah.
offered him
Wow.
$25,000. I offered him Here's the scary part. I'm not alleging it. I'm alleging everything. I don't know. But I offered him 25 grand to tell his story, how he got the tape out, or how they got, even though I knew how they got the tape out. Offered him
Right.
25 grand. He turned it down. Now, if I'm 80 years old and some some young man is offering me 25 grand and I can tell him it's a hoax or whatever, I mean, I'm taking the money. He doesn't. Why? Now that he's been made, why is he so afraid to come forward?
Right.
That to me is a red flag. To my 5 police officers that worked on this with me, all of them said, are you kidding me? He doesn't want to
Mm.
come forward and talk and grab the money. That should scare the shit out of you, John. And
Unless
it's
he
true.
has money, unless he has a lot of money,
Why would you
maybe
have
25.
Patreon on your website if you have a lot of money? You're asking
True.
people for $5. So,
True.
so is he afraid of being complicit in this video because it was filmed by the government, no matter whether it's a real alien or not? Again, I thought this was going to button up everything about this investigation. I think this is going to lead to another investigation. So I am going to try and get Stan Deyo in front of the camera to talk to me, and tell me exactly what the story is and what the truth is. And is that going to be another documentary? I don't know. I'm exhausted at this point, but I definitely, on or off camera, want to have a conversation with Stan. Absolutely.
That would
Absolutely.
be epic.
Yeah.
Absolutely epic. If you manage to do that, that would be
You're gonna
epic.
you're gonna laugh. One of my producers are like, he's like, dude, if we get him on camera, we're putting him in the Victor voice. We're never gonna. I don't ever want anyone to hear his regular voice. We're gonna put him in the Victor voice, right? Which would be funny. So, if I could have
Because
Victor's voice in my everyday life in the
oh my
business world,
gosh.
Jon Stewart would. I'd be like, I would talk to everybody in the Victor voice. But
Absolutely, because
yeah,
his voice is something else. I mean, just the way he
unbelievable.
talks, he's very assertive,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, right.
But that's a huge accomplishment. You've done what
Yeah,
no one has
no
been
one.
able to really do.
Yeah, thank you.
And that
Yeah,
is to be commended. And regardless of how the tape got out, you actually, I mean, you talked about this hunting Victor, and you actually found him. And,
right,
congratulations to you
right,
because we've all wondered. We've all wondered who was this guy in the dark,
right.
showing this video of this being, which I personally think is real. Personally,
I do too.
that's my opinion. And I definitely think we have many beings, whether dead or alive, that are being held by the
Right.
United States, and we're reverse engineering their craft. Period.
Have you heard
You
about
know,
Have you heard about the other things that happened since I went to print on the film? Dad Smith
no.
in the remote viewers did a blind study. 5
Oh,
remote viewers. Yeah. If you think if you're not going to believe Jon Stewart, and you shouldn't, because you should do your own homework. But Dad Smith remote viewers, all they've got is a set of numbers that relates to the alien interview. All 5 viewers said tan alien. He's in distress. It was a controlled landing. He's underground, partition, a no man's land. Papoose Lake is highly radioactive, where S4 is. They have to
right.
wear DOS meters, radiation meters on your lapel. Just if you're by Papoose Lake, so I find it funny. No man's land might be that radiation. That he was in distress. They saw people in military outfits. These people didn't know if they were remote viewing a tornado from
That's right.
1975 or the alien interview. Another set of remote viewers say that it's real. Now,
And
David
that's on
O.
purpose, right? They do that on purpose so that, you don't want to tell them what they're going to remote view. But this was a
Correct.
couple of weeks
Called,
ago.
called a
I
blind
can't remember.
study. You just give them a set of numbers.
Yes.
They don't know exactly. They have no idea what the remote viewing. Now, David
Yes.
Oates, who does reverse speech, is on YouTube going, most ufologists are full of shit. They're lying. And I'm like, oh, okay. Then he goes, except one. You know that Victor guy from the alien interview? I think he's telling the truth. And he plays Victor reverse speech, and it says they're in my head, the thought projection. And he says either the Pleiades or Zeta Reticuli, the origin of their of alleged planet. He goes, this guy Victor is telling the truth. I mean, again, I came out with the documentary or the conversation, as people call it, which is a good term. I came out with this conversation because I was fed up. I couldn't find anybody with specific, credible information to tell me or debunk this film. And
Mm-hmm.
everyone can do the tap dance and ooh and ah. It looks fake.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why it's fake.
Right.
1997, not one person, Hollywood government UFO skeptic, can specifically, meaning, do you see the shoulder? Okay, that's a sprocket from 1996. We used it in Land of Aliens 4, and it looks like this. And look, you could no, nobody. Hollywood government UFO skeptics can tell me specifically that would pass in a court of law why that being is real. I'm not saying that being is real. I'm saying I came out with my conversation because I got fed up because I could not prove it was fake. And I set out to prove it was fake. So keep that in mind.
Yes. And that remote viewing video, I watched it a couple of times. Amazing.
Amazing.
I couldn't
Amazing.
believe the details that they, each
Isn't that
remote
amazing?
viewer was donating. I was amazed.
I didn't sleep for a day and a half. I'm like, this is so freaky. My wife would go to me, like, she went to me like twice, like, did they really say tan alien? I said, yes,
Mhm.
tan. No aliens are tan. That one guy said he drew the alien in tan color. It was just freaking amazing.
It was. That was truly mind blowing.
Yeah.
I actually I did a video review on it or whatnot. But it was like 2.5 hours long, and I encourage each and every one of you to go and check it out. I'll drop a link in the description after this video, but you guys got to go see it. It was so accurate. To a point. It was very amazing, and it was directly related to this particular interview.
Correct.
Period.
Correct.
So
Yep.
yeah, that was amazing. So what is Jon doing from here at this point? I mean, obviously you have expended a lot of energy to do this, this pay-per-view special, which I commend you on. I'm so glad that you followed through with it, Jon, that you followed through with this because people like me, we needed this, and others, we really, really needed this. So what's the plan now? Moving forward for
fulfilling,
you.
fulfilling, commitments for podcasts around the country to talk about this. I've already got booked on a couple of like UFO events,
Right.
as a speaker and stuff. So I will be doing that. I'm going to start writing the whole book on it. And there's 50% that never made the documentary that, stories of Leslie Kean from the New York Times going with a guy from the History Channel, his wife, and this secret agent Holden to New York to go to museum. I'm not saying romantic, like they circumvented me and didn't tell me that they all linked up, and because he told them I'm done with Jon Stewart, he's asking too many questions. I mean, just this cloak and dagger that people are going to be like, what?
And everybody wants to be the one, right? They want to be the one that has all the information. They want to be the one that, and my biggest problem, Jon, right now with the UFO community that I love so much And I don't make $1 off of doing this. Honestly, I don't. I would like to figure out maybe how to do it one day,
Sure.
but my problem is that there are those that that's their only goal is to make $1, and they'll leave you hanging and hanging and hanging on, and they won't tell you anything unless you buy the book or you do this
Right.
or you do that. And
Right.
it's a bit frustrating because we all want to know what the truth is. And I have a problem with those that have made a career out of, ufology, and hold back on information unless
Thank
you
you.
pay them for that information.
Thank you.
And I don't like that. And
Yeah.
I heard, I won't mention names, but there was a ufologist who, I guess you could call him a ufologist now, who went to some very rich people in New York and did a speech, like an hour-long speech, because those people paid for him to come.
Right.
And it's like, what is it that you can tell them that you can't tell the rest of the world? We
Right.
all deserve to know
Yeah.
what is going on in when it comes to UFOs and UAPs. And I just have a problem with that. I really do.
Yeah.
So
That's something that I am so, for God bless. I'm I'm getting my. I'm so goddamn proud that me and my team gave everyone the goods. First of all, I think a lot of people didn't think that this documentary was ever going to come out.
mhm.
And then I think people thought he'll never give us Victor at the end, or it's going to be some ridiculous summation. I think when people saw this conversation and saw me show Thomas Mack, the Project Aquarius leader, with his bio, and member of the Air Force Scientific Advisory Board,
Yes.
do you
Yes.
think I made that up? Yeah. No.
Absolutely.
When I
No.
showed, again, another thing no one's talking about, how about the CIA agent, Henry Radzicki, who I was told might have shown the video to that Nico tech guru guy,
Right.
the other angle of the thing, codename Falcon. I gave him up. All the name of them. I think people thought the one doctor, um,
Mhm.
uh, Webb Wilson, was going to be total bullshit. And I think people were going, "Oh shit, this guy did what he said he was going to do." Yeah, I've been telling you I was going to do this. And I
Mhm.
told you, Victor, and I showed you the picture, and most people went, "Oh my God, it's 1,000% match." And then when you combine the website with the end of the world eschatology and the solar flares, Dr. Teller, reverse engineering of propulsion, S4, FBI informant. I mean, please. So I am so proud because, like you, since the early 70s, every documentary I've ever witnessed, from being a little kid to a bald, old, cranky old man, is, oh, we'll show you Bigfoot next week. Oh, we got the aliens
Right.
just next
Right.
year. Oh, we'll
I'm
show you
so
the
sick of
document.
it.
We'll
Yes.
find the missing girl. Hey, Jon Stewart, on Thanksgiving night, I found Bigfoot. I showed you the alien. I found the missing girl, and we proved Loch Ness is real. The Loch Ness
And you
monster is
followed
real,
through.
metaphorically, and I followed
That's
through.
right.
And I think
You
most
followed
people went,
through.
uh, geez, he really,
I can't believe
I,
he did it.
I said
Yeah,
I was
that's
writing
what
a
people
book.
were
I
saying.
wrote a book, right.
That's
Told you I
right.
was going to put
That's
this
right.
documentary out. I was going to lay it all
Years
on the
ago.
line, name everything, name everyone, and I did. So if that people
Yes.
are still in shock, I don't know what to tell
And I think that gives you so much credibility in this field because we've got, Corey Goods,
you. Oh
David
God,
Wilcox's, and others. And you bring an air, a level of credibility to this. And the fact that we talked about this, a couple years back. You've been talking about this for quite some time. You followed through, you did it, and you literally, discovered who Victor was. You did exactly what you said you were going to do. This gives
thank
you
you.
nothing but credibility, and I
Yeah,
look forward to seeing your growth within the UFO community even more. I want to see you interview with Linda Moulton Howe. I want to see
yeah,
you sit down on Cosmic Disclosure. I think that this documentary is so important. I think it should be on Gaia, if you ask me. But hey, I do want to ask you one question with the Congress hearings that we recently
Yeah.
had. I'm on your Twitter all the time. I'm always responding and reading your tweets and everything. For one, how did you feel about the second set of Congress hearings? And then I want to ask you about someone specific, but we don't have to go into detail if you don't want. But number one, did you feel that the second set of Congress hearings was quite lackluster?
Kind of a
I did
nothing
too.
burger. Yeah, yeah, kind
Yeah.
of a nothing burger. And this is the one thing that I am. I this is the one thing that when I when I take a step back from the UFO community is that I love the way David Grush handled everything. He came forward, told what he was told, what he saw,
Yes.
what was told to him in interviews, told us to Congress, gave a couple of interviews, News Nation, and I think Jesse Michaels, and receded back into private life, knowing that he couldn't, you know, go against his NDAs and show documents and show photos. And the only problem I have with Lou is, and that's just
That
my
was who I was just
oh
going to ask you
yeah,
about.
my only thing with Lou is that, and again, he's a grown man, he can do whatever he wants. I would think and hope, and I challenge Lou from this day forward to constantly say alleged. This is what I was shown. This is what, and to go with a fine tooth comb, whatever photos or videos you do show, because your credibility is everything now, and Lou needs to tell people ad nauseum. I can't show you anything specific because I'm under a security agreement. And that is the beauty of Jon Stewart. I'm not under any security agreement. I can
Exactly.
show you anything. I'm free to talk about anything that I have learned from people who have the same caliber or the same pedigree in the UFO program as many people Lou interviewed. I guarantee you that. So,
Right.
and I understand that. I'm not condemning Lou for it, but I would think, as a courtesy to the UFO community, to use more alleged, to use more, now, folks, this is what I was shown, this is what I was told, and to remind people that are paying a lot of money, especially during lectures, that I cannot go against my oath and show pictures and documents. I think that would go a lot to the overall credibility of the UFO world. And Lou must bear responsibility for the UFO world because we have put him on top of the UFO world.
Yes.
So he
Yes, we
must
have.
bear that responsibility if he's the quality human being that I think he is.
I mean, if he wants to be on top of the UFO world, he's going to have to do that. And a lot of people, including myself, looked at a lot of the conversations that were happening after Lou testified. And I think many were very frustrated with the fact that it seemed like, okay, you're sitting here, but you're not saying anything. I can't say this. I can't speak on that. And it's like, what are we here for? And
Right. It's
so I
everything
think
you and
that
I were just
frustrated a
talking
lot
about.
of people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, my God,
It
totally.
was very frustrating.
Yeah. It's like watching a
Yeah.
typical UFO documentary. You get a couple of
Yes.
redacted documents and a person from the South with 3 teeth talking about they saw a UFO and credits and music,
Not
and
3
you know,
teeth.
and I'm sitting here going, another one. I don't get to see Bigfoot
Not 3
again.
teeth, John.
Well, I'm trying
Not
to say they always seem to pick since the '70s, and people that are younger than me, I will tell you this, the truth. And in every documentary in the '70s, they always found like some backwoods guy missing
Yes.
teeth. I don't know what, there was a fetish with people that had missing teeth, and that's my level of frustration. So I am so I'm just being honest.
Oh,
I
that is
just
hilarious.
you know, um,
Well,
I I got my frustration out with the ambiguity of 9 million documentaries since the '70s, and finally there's a documentary that came out or a conversation that came out. It gave the people the 100% truth and the
Yep.
finality and and the coup de grace at the end, and I'm proud of that.
Yes. And you should be. And, from, my community to you, thank you for all of the hard work that you've put in. I can't tell you how much I looked forward to this. The moment that you announced that documentary was coming, I was so excited. And so I just want to say thank you so much for doing the documentary, giving us information that we didn't have, which allows us, to move forward and find out even more things from the information that we didn't have.
Yeah,
And, I really appreciate the fact that you have even come on to my podcast and given me an opportunity to interview you. I mean, we've got 300 people watching now, which is really nice compared to the last time when I interviewed you. And, you know, I just want to say thank you for even giving me the opportunity to interview with you. You're so down to earth. And, I just, my goal is I love being a part of the UFO community. I want to continue to be a part of the community. I want to, eventually I'm going to make it to a conference, John, and eventually I'm going to, watch some speakers and that sort of a thing. And hopefully I'll get to meet a lot of these individuals that I've been reading
yeah.
and watching about for so many years. So I really appreciate, everything that you've done for
Thank you,
this community. I
thank
really
you.
do.
Yeah,
So
you're a great person. You've been you've been such a one of the beacons of sanity in the past 3 years of my journey, and I mean that sincerely. I walk my talk. I say what I mean. If I don't like you, I don't like you. It's been a pleasure working with you and talking with you and your viewers. And I just want your viewers to know I did my best. I think
no
for having
question.
for having COVID, pro wrestling brain, and attention deficit disorder, and a full time business and family and girls in college. I did my best for the past 5 years. I hope, I know it wasn't a glamorous documentary, but what we lacked in grandiosity, we sure made up for in content. And I'm very proud of that. And I hope the next investigator, the next Jon Stewart takes the ball and says, geez, this guy gave us who was in this programs from 75 to 95. Let us now continue continue the ball forward. We've proven the facility from 54 to 62, this OPNAC PBS that was in the Linda Howe SAW manual. So we've given people a great
Yes.
foundation that we think this program, this extraterrestrial interrogation and retention program is real, was real,
Absolutely.
and the next Jon Stewart's now got to pick up the ball, and hopefully I've given him a breadcrumb trail in a roadmap, and I will certainly pray to God that that happens. And thank you to you, thank you to all your viewers that are out there now. Their support. You have no idea of the kindness in the emails that I've received since Thanksgiving night. I mean, I actually got choked up. So what some of the people
Wow.
were telling me. So it really meant a lot. And I'm not saying that people should think I'm the greatest. I'm just saying like there was a lot of really nice people that sent some very heartfelt emails, and it got me choked up a couple of times. And I am just very appreciative that the community and your listeners tonight giving me a forum to talk about it and talk about my experience. And God bless all of you, and have a great holiday season.
And you are always welcome here, John. You never
Thank you.
know in the future what may
Yeah,
happen, many other conversations that may occur,
yeah,
in the future. Who knows what? And hopefully I can, introduce myself to others within the UFO community and have I want to have more interviews like this.
yeah.
So I appreciate you and I thank you for coming on. And everyone, definitely go to huntingvictor.com. Um, watch the pay-per-view special. It is amazing, and you won't regret it. You will not regret it. So, Jon, thank you for coming on.
Thank
Have
you.
a really good rest of your week, and we'll talk soon.
You got it. Thank you so much.
Take care now.
Okay.
All right, guys. I again have been looking forward to that interview for a long time. And prior to the documentary coming out, uh, you know, uh, we had a conversation about him coming on and doing another interview with me. And I'm really glad he came on today. I thought it was a really good interview. The biggest thing of all, though, is that Victor has been identified. Stan Deyo, he has been identified, and that is a big deal, guys. Again, allow me to, just as we kind of bring this to
What
an
we're seeing.
end, I want to show you guys what we're talking about here. Again, this is the infamous alien interview, and guys, I 100% think this being is real.
What we're seeing.
All right, we're looking at the interview suite at S4. It's kept dark for the comfort of the aliens. The figure who is just barely visible in the left foreground is the telepath, and behind the camera is a raked seating area for observers. Although in this case, I believe the only other person present was a military aide. The alien is seated behind a glass partition in a biocontainment area, which is maintained at Biosafety Level 2, the lowest designation. That's primarily for the protection of the aliens, not us. The theory is that if they were going to infect us with an alien bug, it would have happened 50 years ago. In fact, all the indications are the aliens eliminated microbial and viral life from their own ecosystem long ago. They aren't susceptible to our diseases directly, but it has been shown that microbes can reproduce and form colonies within their respiratory systems, which tends to exacerbate the debilities they seem to suffer anyway in our environment. In fact, you can see here the alien is beginning to flag. The interview was not going well. The telepath was trying to clarify some points from a previous interview, but he wasn't receiving coherent responses. As you can see, the being is in real distress. At this point, the telepath is sending out a message to the medical staff. He's trying to communicate with the alien, but he's getting no response. There's very little he can do. There's no direct connection between his space and the biocontainment area. That's the aide stepping in on the right. The medical staff should be there by now. They're slow in responding. There they are. I have to say the medical personnel at S4 are less than first rate. They tend to be selected for their willingness to keep secrets rather than their medical competence. By the way, he's not shining that light into the eyes. It looks that way, but in fact he's checking for hemorrhaging around the eye sockets and in the nasal cavity. I'm sorry. It's very hard for me to watch this.
Yeah, guys, that is the infamous alien interview clip, and the way that was released was in a documentary, and in the middle of that documentary, that footage was inputted into that documentary, and again, ever since '97. It has been an absolute mystery on who this Victor individual was. And Jon Stewart has broken the case wide open. And I'm so proud of him. So guys, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming through. I know I did a lot of marketing for this interview. There's 320 of you watching. The majority of you are on Twitter. I want to give a special shout out to Twitter/X. Lately, I don't know what it is, but this last year, it's not uncommon for each time I go live, I pull 100 viewers. A special exclusive like this, we've got 300 people watching just on Twitter alone. And I want to thank each and every one of you. I also want to thank those of you in the Spaces community on Twitter. I also want to give a shout out to Full Stack Logan. I was on his space night before last or late last night. I can't remember the day, but I had a great time. We talked about a lot of good topics, and after this, in about 1 hour, I'm going to start a Twitter space. You guys are more than welcome to come up, or an X space. And I want to talk about this more in depth, this alien interview more in depth, as well as some other things related around UFOs and UAPs. So, and I also want to give a special shout out to Derlesu or Derlesu. Derlesu has been supporting me on Twitter for years. I'm talking retweets, my tweets, has always supported me, sent me information, good information. So I just want to say thank you. And I really do appreciate all the support that you've given me out on the X platform. Shout out to Kalilamani's World. Shout out to you. I appreciate you for coming through as well. Sweet Pea Diaries, King Bull, Christopher Bling Nugget. Let's see, who else do we have in the building? Global Empire I always do this every time. Mama Global's in the building, okay? Thank you for sharing the video, everyone. I really appreciate it. I really do. Let's see here. Tony McSquareface. We've got who else do we have in the building? Zion Facts. It's always good to see you. Let's see, Jose Maestra. Thank you. I appreciate you. And guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate again all the support. The Real Life with Anthony and Apollo McNeil. Thank you for coming through as well. And Tron Ray thinks that he's going to tell me how to look, y'all. Tron Ray thinks he's going to tell me how to create my screen here and the things that I put on my screen. Sir, I've been doing this for 15 plus years. There's nothing you can tell me when it comes to how I put my screen together. So you have a nice day, okay? But guys, shout out to each and every one of you. I appreciate you all. Before we get up out of here, allow me to pay a few bills, if you don't mind.
Shout out to the LeakYou community. Please join us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music.
Please hit the like. Thank you.
All right, guys. Again, I appreciate each and every one of you. I will catch you all on the next one, and you all know how it is. I cover a variety of different topics. And one thing that I do want to say before I get out of here, um, if for any reason you've had a UFO experience or a non-human intelligence, meaning alien experience, please email me at LeakYou@iCloud.com. I would love to interview you, but I also do anonymous interviews. So if you're in fear of showing your face or speaking your voice, I am more than happy to do a recorded interview and mask your voice completely. I respect all sources. I never disclose a source. And I think that with everything happening in the UFO community, especially with all the alien abductions that have happened over the years, even no matter how strange you think it is, even if you're not sure that it happened, I'd love to talk to you. Again, I will, completely anonymize your voice, your face, et cetera, and it can be a recorded, video. So I just wanted to put that out there. LeakYou@iCloud.com. And so feel free to reach out, and I will do it in the most respectful way. I feel like we need to get some more of these stories out, no matter how strange they may sound. It's important because these beings are abducting human beings and they are stealing our reproductive material. They're stealing semen from men and they're stealing eggs from women. And that's because they want a hybrid race. Okay. So that's important. And it leaves one feeling quite violated. And it leaves one feeling almost like they've been raped, right? So I'd love to talk to you guys, anyone who's interested, feel free to reach out. Again, guys, I appreciate each and every one of you for coming through. I'll catch you guys on the next live stream. Until next time, everyone.
The judgment sentence that you are an asshole. The trial is over. Thank you, everybody.
Let's play a game. You have 10 seconds to take all your stuff and get out of my life. 10, 9, 8.
God bless you, motherfucker.
You're really smart. Like really, really, really smart like I am.